You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
I'm sitting here in Riverside in the Inland Empire, which is about 60 miles from Los Angeles and about 30 miles from Orange County. I moved here because the houses are cheaper, and this way my kids each got their own bedroom, and I am able to have this pop culture filled office with which to do this podcast from. And having grown up out here, and not in Riverside, but I grew up in LA County and then moved to Orange County in 1992. Basically, we live in the central hub of the theme park industry. You know, yes, Florida has built up, but Florida was fledgling for a while because they didn't open Universal Studios Florida till 88 or 89, and then Islands of Adventure was not till 1999, and all the other parks that inundated the Magic Kingdom there, they all arrived pretty late. You know, the MGM Studios, which is now the Walt Disney Studios, that didn't arrive until late 80s too. So growing up in the 80s, which is what I did, I lived in close proximity to more theme parks than just about anybody, and I'm sure somebody will have an argument for me, but for the sake of this episode, that's the idea that I'm sticking to. Because where I lived in Norwalk, we were 25 minutes from Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland, a few more minutes out to Universal Studios, and we also had Santa's Village, Lake Dolores, Movieland Wax Museum, Cars of the Stars, Japanese Deer Park, Movie World. Oh my gosh, I mean, that's a lot of theme parks. Castle Park out here in Riverside now, which is right by where I live. Castle Park, started by Bud Hurlbut, who was the guy who created the log ride and the mine ride at Knott's Berry Farm. So my whole childhood has been sort of steeped in yearly traditional ritual trips to a theme park. And growing up going to all those theme parks, I never had any idea that I would work at one. You know, I always had lofty goals of becoming either a sitcom actor or a screenwriter of big budget effects movies. And while I am neither of those in total, I am also not completely out of that, having decided to work at a theme park for as long as I have, which is 20 years, but becoming a writer of shows at a theme park. So I've sort of combined the things that I originally wanted to do into what I actually do. So I'm not that far off. And when I look at my high school graduating class, there are only a handful of us that are doing exactly what we wanted to do when we graduated. There was a girl in the play that I did, Tony Berardini, whose lifelong goal was to drive the Disneyland parking lot tram. So, hey, you know, Tony, you can still make that dream come true if you want, because they still got them. They're not quite as airy and fun as they used to be, what with the pre-recorded claptrap over the sound system and the doors so the idiots don't fall out. But hey, they're still there and they're still operating. But I continue to work at a theme park, and I just put in an incredibly stressful few days. I work at Knott's Berry Farm, and I don't normally talk about exactly where I work because, it's not kosher, and I do the Season Pass podcast where I talk about all that I do, but I don't always mention I'm putting air quotes up, the negative parts of what I do, of which every job has it, But Knott's Berry Farm, like any theme park, offers annual passes. Only, like at Disneyland, if you go on March 17th and buy an annual pass, it's good until March 17th on the next year. So you get a full year of use from your pass. Now see, Knott's Berry Farm, because we're part of the Cedar Fair Corporation, which operates 99% of seasonal parks that are only open from May to September, because otherwise you can't go to a theme park because the weather's so bad in these other states. They offer a seasonal pass, which means it's only good for a season. Now, a season is, again, Memorial Day through Labor Day, pretty much. But see, Knott's, we're always open except for Christmas Day, so our season is the year. So if you buy your pass on March 17th, it's actually only good until December 31st of that year. It doesn't matter when you buy it. It's only good until that date. So here's why I bring that up. I bring it up because the last week of the year, everybody somehow magically looks down and sees that their pass is going to expire and decides, we better get some use out of this before the year ends. So we are very busy at the park. Very busy at the park. And we have a very popular Snoopy-themed ice skating show. And it's in a pretty relatively big theater. And even with multiple shows per day, we're not able to fit everybody in the show that wants to see it. It's simply a mathematical impossibility. So it's my job to stand and tell people that they can't get in. It's not a fun job, but it's a job that I take on willingly because as a supervisor, I can take the criticism and the shenanigans of the guests better than the line employees who, they're not really equipped, nor should they be subjected to that kind of abuse. But I take it because it's my job. And this past 4 days has been very stressful. I came home the other night and I was going to do a really venom-filled podcast on what it's been like turning people away at this ice show. But my wife talked me out of it. Because I've been making 91 Reasons a family show. A show that you can listen to in the car with your kids because it's about pop culture. So I resisted that urge to get on and in the heat of all of my stress-filled rage do that kind of podcast. I may do it at some point and just distribute it among friends and people who ask for it. But as far as putting a show like that up in the lineup, it's not really what I want. I don't want a bunch of PG-rated podcasts and then suddenly the explicit warning put on one of them. So I resisted that urge. But I have to tell you, saying it in a friendly way, I have never encountered a more irritable and angry group of people than the ones I met this holiday season where I work. And I don't know what's happening to society, but it seems as if we're reaching a point where because life is relatively good, everything's in season all year long food-wise. Fast food is still incredibly cheap to buy. Everything in life is disposable, easily available. My wife listens to country music. There's a song Miranda Lambert sings about it. Everything today is automatic. You don't have to wait for anything. People put water in the microwave to boil and then are angry that it takes 5 minutes. And I think what's happening is that because life is getting generally easier, and I'm not talking about poor people who are afflicted with disease or poverty or whatever, discrimination. There are still terrible things in the world, but for the majority of the things that you do, life is pretty easy. So when we encounter things that throw a wrench into our life of ease, a lot of people don't know how to deal with it. And the people that don't know how to deal with it go from silence to fiery rage in half a second. And they say to me the worst things you can say to a human being. And I'm stunned. I'm stunned at the anger and bile that has been spewed at me the past few days because the show fills up. I told one lady, it's not that I don't want to let you in. It's that I don't have a seat for you to sit in. And that wasn't good enough for her. And I don't know at that point how the conversation's going to go. We've already said it. It's full. I can't let you in. And then they persist and they get angrier and angrier. And all I keep saying is, I can't let you in. I don't have a seat. Do I blame the movie theaters? Do I blame the multiplexes, the megaplexes on everywhere where there's 29 screens so it never sells out? When I was a kid, movies sold out. You had to get there early to get a ticket if you wanted to see it. When Star Wars Episode 7 comes out next year, it's going to be on every screen at the multiplex. They're going to make sure you can get in every second. When I went to see Star Wars in 1978, we waited 2.5 hours. We got there and waited in line before the next showing had even gone in, and waited after that to get our seat. So maybe Generation X just grew up being a little more tolerable because we waited in line. We had our pictures developed. We didn't have microwave popcorn until 1985. We made Jiffy Pop, which took twice as long, and if you weren't careful, burnt in a second. So what's happening out there that people are so angry all the time about everything when you say no? You know, what happens at McDonald's every day when they switch from breakfast to lunch? Do people just get into riots? That they can't get their Egg McMuffin? Because that's the equivalent of what I didn't, but I just wanted to look at people and go, it's an ice skating show, folks. It's not worth punching me. And I say that because a guy looked me in the eye and said he was going to kill me because he couldn't get in to see the ice show. And I'm such an easygoing, non-violent guy that I'm always genuinely shocked when I get caught up in the madness of somebody else's anger. And I just, like you're mad at me? Why are you mad at me? What did I do? I just stood here and let people in till it was full. You weren't here in time and now you can't get in. I don't understand. That's my fault. I don't know what it is. People will come up and ask, how early should we get in line? And I say an hour. And they're like, well, I can't do that. I go, well, then you're not going to get in. And I talk to my employees and I try to figure out, like, I love dissecting things. I mean, that's what the podcast is, right? It's dissecting things. I love dissecting things. So I said, this is what I can figure out, because people will get in a line 50 deep to get a churro, but they won't get in line 45 minutes ahead of the ice show to get a seat. And I think it's this. I think it's because when you get in line to get that churro, in your brain you're thinking, you know, if that guy moves fast and makes churros as quickly as possible, I'm only going to be here 10 minutes. Well, that never happens. So that by the time you get to the front of the line, it's 45 minutes later. You're like, well, I didn't want to get out of the line because I've already put that much time into it. But when you tell somebody from the outset it's a 45-minute wait, they're not willing to do it. They're willing to do it on a ride that offers them 3 minutes of thrills, but not a show that's going to give them 35 plus minutes. So it has been a stunning examination of the human condition at the old berry farm where I work. I had a woman come up to me who was upset because the place where she stands in line is wide, so that when more people came up, they were able to stand next to her. And I said, I don't understand what you're saying. Well, I'm no longer at the front, she said. I said, but you're still like where you're in the line. It's just, but I'm not at the front anymore. I was in a single file line and I'm no longer at the front. And I said, well, ma'am, if we had a single file line, it would go all the way to the log ride and beyond. That's why it's wide, so we can accommodate as many people and get them off the Midway and into line ready to go in. Her response to that was, I want to talk to your boss. And I said, well, I'm actually the top guy here at the theater. Why? There's somebody above you. And we argued for a couple minutes because I kept saying, no matter who you talk to, they're going to refer you to me. And I'm telling you that's the way it is, and that's the way it is. And then she called me a really foul name, and I just looked at her because she was really nice. She was young. She was pretty. And all of a sudden, she just decided to call me like a really rude name for a donkey. And I said, well, is there anything else I can do for you? And she looked at me with a smirk and said, well, I've been taping this conversation on my cell phone because I figured what was going to happen. And I just looked at her and I was like, I think we're done. And I think the lesson learned, kids, unlike in Fight Club, if you go looking to pick a fight, you're probably going to get one. She came looking for a fight. And I think part of her frustration with me is that I didn't actually give her one. I didn't give her a fight. I didn't curse. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't tell her to buzz off. I just explained that's how the theater was built. It has a wide opening ramp so that we can get more than just a single file worth of line up there. And she just walked off, and I was like, okay, I don't know what you want from me. So, sorry to digress into the adventures of me, but this is how I deal and cope with my frustrations. Because at work, I don't ever get aggressive with people. Why would I? I'm at work. I'm there to help you. And how I help you is, not only do I tell you that the ice show is full, but I tell you that the next show is at X time and you should get in line at X time. But they don't want that from me. They get really angry and want to hurt me physically. So I don't I don't know what's happening to society. And I don't know what it'll be like in 5 years. Because I bet when the lights go off in that theater, whether it's the ice show at a theme park or a movie theater where people are just out of it, but I bet the screens come out. I bet the cell phones come out and people are staring down at their laps at a world that somehow is better than the one they're actually inhabiting. That's what I can't figure out. Your cell phone shouldn't even come out at a theme park unless grandma's calling you to pick her up. You paid a lot of money to be transported to another world, to the Old West, to the world of tomorrow. Why would you want to stare at your cell phone all day? I don't get that. I also don't understand using the cell phone to record every single minute, whether it's me at a park or a show. Like, when are you going to watch that show again? It's so much better live without your hands over your head. Cell phone in hand, iPad. I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I've ranted for 17 long minutes. I apologize. We're going to talk about a one-of-a-kind theme park, because my experience growing up in Southern California was in the 90s, early 90s to late 90s. Disneyland was selling annual passes for $99. Like, $99 granted you access to Disneyland on a bunch of days. You couldn't go on holidays, and you couldn't go on weekends. It was only on the California select dates. But who cares? I don't like to go on busy days anyways. So Rachel and I got passes right away. Everybody that we knew had passes. Disneyland became what you did when you had nothing else to do. What's going on? I don't know. You want to go to Disneyland? Why not? It's 3 exits down the freeway. So we used to go to Disneyland all the time. So we were there when they announced the second park they were going to build across the way. The second glittering theme park that was going to be located right next to Disneyland. And to say that we were excited is an understatement. Because as amazing as Disneyland is, and it certainly still is, having been built in 1955, we couldn't imagine what a park built in the new millennium by the greatest theme park builders of all creation were going to make for us. So Rachel and I watched with building anticipation as we were told we could no longer park up by the ticket booths. Instead, we were rerouted to a lot over on Ball Road, on Disneyland Drive, that eventually became the Pinocchio lot. This is before the big parking structure. And you would get trammed in past mounds and mounds of dirt and construction. And this went on what seemed like forever. It seemed like they were trying to build California Adventure for a decade. Now, I know it wasn't that long. But for people who grew up here and were able to park and just walk right in the park, this was a big change because it altered your ability to visit Disneyland quickly, because you now had to factor in 30 or 40 minutes on each end for the parking and the tram ride over because of the construction. So anticipation was really high. And where I worked, we weren't quite sure what to do. Now, we were excited in the idea that Disneyland building a second gate was going to bring in tons more international tourists to the area. And even with 2 gates over there, there was still going to be days on people's vacations that they would come to Knott's Berry Farm. So I don't think, I can't speak for anybody but myself, but I never viewed it as a threat at all. So you can imagine when it finally started to take shape and California Adventure went from being a vague idea to it's really right over there and it's going to open. It was pretty exciting. Like, it felt like there was nowhere to go but up with this thing. This park was going to be the S, if you know what I'm talking about. It was going to be it, man. I can't wait. And the build-up, they had all these commercials where the Disneyland characters were peeking over the fence at the new park going up with binoculars, and the people who ran the park that was going to open, California Adventure. It was California Adventure. I don't think it was Disney's California Adventure for a while. It was just California Adventure. And they got really cocky, and they were talking about how there wouldn't be any park characters in the park. That you know what? You might see Minnie or Mickey in the park in tourist costumes, but they wouldn't be in the park all the time because they live at Disneyland. California Adventure is something new. And they told the cast members who were working there that there would be no sign-in privileges for at least a year. Like, for at least a year that you worked there, you were not going to be able to sign anybody into the park. No free tickets, nothing. So when it was finally going to open in February, I just figured, we'll go in like a year. And we'll see what it looks like. Because, oh my gosh, it's going to be massively crowded. Because it's Disneyland, and they've built a new park, new rides that nobody's ever seen, new adventures that have never been erected until now. So you can imagine the shock, the utter shock when California Adventure opened and nobody went, because the people who got in first came out and said, it's the most boring theme park ever created. Is that it? Is that the greatest setup ever? You're listening to 91 Reasons, and right now I'm going to take a break. It'll last half a second for you. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to bring in my family because we were in a very unique position in that I had children when California Adventure first opened, and it magically, in quotes, in italics, it magically became a park that we went to a lot, even though it sucked beyond reason. I'm going to bring my kids on and my wife because we're going to try to explain what the park was when it opened, what was there, and why on earth we were there so often. All right, so we took a break. We regrouped here, and I got the whole family here. Everybody say hi.
Hey.
Okay, so this is a family that grew up with California Adventure as being a big part of their childhood. Isn't that terribly, terribly sad? Austin, what do you think?
It was a really cheesy theme park, but I remember going there a lot. Like every other week, we would just go to DCA because we had the passes.
Yeah, so what happened was the passes... They originally said there wouldn't even be passes for California Adventure. Like, why do we need to offer a season pass? People are going to come from around the world to this park one day, have the grand California adventure of their lives, so we don't need to sell passes. Well, they must have started selling passes like a month after they opened because nobody was going. And what happened was your mom got a job there as a survey person, where her job was to walk around and take surveys of people who, like, can you tell us why it sucks? And people would go, how much time have you got? So what would happen is, and we're going to jump forward like 2002 or 3, and then we'll go back, but we would go to Disneyland and find that the park was mobbed. And we would then jump over to California Adventure, and we'd be alone. There'd be nobody there. We have the whole park to ourselves. So, yeah, we went to California Adventure a lot. Oh, my God, did we go a lot. So, what are your earliest memories of this amazing theme park, Austin?
I remember going into the tortilla factory every time and getting a free sample of a tortilla. It's really disappointing that that's gone. That was the best attraction. Those tortillas were so good.
So, they built a $750 million theme park with immersive rides and attractions, and your favorite thing was the tortilla factory exhibit where you got a sample.
Hey, that was the most exciting ride there. There was nothing to do at this park. You should explain some of the rides on opening day. Like, there was nothing to do.
Well, here's the thing. You would walk up to Disneyland and you'd see the train station and the Mickey flowers, and it was so magical. And then you'd turn around the other direction and you'd see giant letters spelling out California and tile work and a abstract version of the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, finally, one of the Imagineers said, look, the opening of California Adventure is not cheesy. It's supposed to be a California postcard, and you're stepping through it. And I said, what a load of crap that is. This park was built cheap from day one. You walked in and everything was bland. There was nothing themed. And it just got worse as you went in. When you go into a theme park and you come out saying the Tortilla Factory, or in my case, the Burbank Bakery and Ice Cream Parlor made to look like a train station was the best thing there, you got problems. You got major problems. So you walk into California Adventure, and the first thing you see is what was it called? The sun
something. It was
the sun wheel?
No. The sun wheel's the wide in the back of the park. This is the big sun out front.
Yeah. It was a big sun on a water fountain. And the gimmick was they had reflectors that followed the sun and always reflected the sun off the fountain. Again, who cares? Who cares? Are you kidding me? Who cares? So there was nothing to do. You make a left turn into the Hollywood Pictures backlot where all of the buildings were themed to
Look like a movie studio.
movie studio, which means what? Plain brown sound stages. What? What, are you kidding?
All the buildings were flat and cheesy.
Yeah, the first attraction was Muppet 3D, which was just a port over from Florida. Nothing new. And oh man, they just took it out right now to put in Frozen. But imagine like you go into that thing in 2014, and there's a character talking about 3D computer graphics like it's the new thing. What? And then you'd get in line. And I remember we waited in line, Rachel, 90 plus minutes for Superstar Limo. Superstar Limo. Explain, Austin, what Superstar Limo is.
This was like one of the 3 rides of the entire park, basically. That was a Walt Disney ride. You get in a car, and it's a typical dark ride. Of course, this is the cheesiest thing ever. I ever seen rides at carnivals better than this. You get in a limo, and you cruise through Hollywood. I don't remember why, though. Why were you cruising through Hollywood looking at celebrities?
Because you're a movie star.
Oh, okay.
You're the big star, and your agent has sent a limo to pick you up at the airport and get you to the premiere, right, Luke? Mm-hmm. So they have these transition tunnels where the whole ride turns black, and a little TV monitor on your car shows a picture of your agent. Now, all the characters in this were grotesque animatronic puppet things. So your agent's like this oily, unshaven guy who's like, hey, get to the premiere. Kiss, kiss, huh? Mwah. And you're like that's the first thing you see in the ride. And I know that we must have thought, what's happened? What's happening to this ride? So then what happens?
You begin to cruise through Hollywood looking at cheesy 2D cutouts of celebrities. Now, really, really outdated celebrities.
Yeah, it was like, there's funny man Tim Allen. And they showed Tim Allen doing stand-up. He hasn't done stand-up since the early 90s, right? And big stars like Antonio Banderas and Melanie Griffith. Like, what? And it was a bizarre waste of time.
Who is this ride for?
The whole park was built for people who don't live here and want a stylized cartoon version of life in California. The problem is that all the locals were embarrassed by the park, and the tourists that came in were like, "Why'd you spend money on this? We could go to a carnival." And the park came off a little bit like a low-rent Knott's Berry Farm. You know, like they had a water ride and they had this and this. And it's like, why? You're Disney. You're supposed to do better than us. What the hell are you doing? And eventually, well, at the end of the Superstar Limo ride, they took your picture for the big, like, hey, smile right this way for the big premiere. And then they showed your picture like, you're Hollywood's next big star. But then they didn't let you buy the picture. So, like, what happened? And everybody who walked off Superstar Limo had the same puzzled, disgruntled look of, I cannot believe I waited in line for that. Because, again, it was 90 minutes sometimes to get on that ride. And you know what the park eventually found out? They generated less concerns by shutting the ride down than they did by leaving it up. That means less people complained about not being able to go on it than people who complained having gone on it and being pissed off that it took so long for that ride. So, yeah, it didn't last very long, and it was shut down and left empty for a long time. But what happened was, by summer, they had tried to add in a lot of things to fix California Adventure. And we'll continue our journey through the park as we go. But what they did was, the first thing they did was the cheapest thing they could think of. They threw characters at it. Do you remember, Luke? At the gate, they gave you a special kids map where you could use it to find all the character meet and greets and get a sticker at each one to fill up your magical map. And it was designed basically to get you to move through the park.
They did that a few different times. They released different maps, and they just kept reusing that same gimmick of go to all these places and get stickers for the characters.
Right, and a park that had no characters suddenly had more characters than Disneyland ever had, which was designed to be like, something for the kids.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing for children.
What the map did was get you stuck at the back of the park when you were done.
Right, because this is when it first opened, and there were a lot of dead ends.
Yeah.
You went to the Hollywood Pictures back lot, and then it didn't go anywhere.
You had
to go back out to get anywhere, because it ended at the Hyperion Theater, which was showing Steps in Time. We never even saw it. There was no point. And I think because the park was losing so much money, and I don't know this for certain, but I think I remember, like, it was only up 2 or 3 days a week out of 7. So odds are on the days we went, there was no Steps in Time show. Instead, they had walk-around characters of actors waiting for their big break. like what? And I remember the time we went was one of the last times that at the back end of the Hollywood Pictures backlot section, there's a big warehouse, and it was called Hollywood and Dine, and it was a food court. It was a big food court. It's gone now. Obviously, everything's gone.
Yeah.
But it was open for a while, and we went in there because they were so desperate to get people in the park during the summer that they had all the character meet and greets. They dug the Main Street Electrical Parade out of mothballs and got it up in a hurry, even though they just had Farewell Season, Goodbye Forever Electrical Parade. And they're like, it's back.
I remember that, actually.
Yeah, remember?
It was like the electrical parade is back only if you come to DCA.
Right, and in a park that wasn't even built for that, they didn't even have a parade route.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Half the park is shut down when they do a parade.
Complete mess for the stupid electrical parade. And all those suckers who bought the bulbs thinking that they had really come off the parade floats. Suckers. It's back. But they also told the cast members, and your mom was a cast member, bring your family on 4th of July because we're terrified that the tourists are going to show up and find the park empty. That Disneyland will be closed due to the crowds, but DCA will be a ghost town. So they gave us all a ticket to come to the park, half price on any food we wanted, and half price almost any souvenir we wanted to buy. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, what a turn. From February, they were high in the sky, the greatest thing ever, to July, it was please bring your family to our empty, derelict theme park. And one of the things, we have a picture somewhere of you, Luke, on a rocket rod. They took a rocket rod off the tracks, stuck it over at the Hollywood Pictures backlot, and made it a display. And a guard came over and was like, you can't play in that. You shouldn't sit on that. Well, it's a ride vehicle, dude, in the park. What do you think kids are going to do?
And there weren't any ropes or anything for it, right? Luke?
No, there might have been a cone or something, like an orange cone.
They really were just telling anything out of Disneyland, putting it in to get anyone in the park. Make something interesting out of it.
Oh, yeah. No, they were desperate. Well, look at what they had to offer right next door on the, what was it called? Bountiful Farm. And we would take Luke over there when he was little, and he would play on the tractor display. And he would, they had do you remember the maze?
The maze?
It was a water maze.
The water maze.
You'd go in and the water would turn on and you had to find your way out without getting wet.
Yeah.
Because that's fun for kids who've paid, what, $69.95 to get into this park. Do you remember the farm display?
Yes.
It was
literally just tractors.
It was literally just tractors.
Dirt, tractors, and some water.
It was sponsored by Cat Tractors, and it was the Cat Tractor experience. Now, they use those tractors to take the ride down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they used the exact displays to dismantle everything else and get rid of that when they replaced it with
Bugs Land.
Bugs Land later, right?
Which still was cheesy.
Oh, I know. I remember jumping forward when Bugs Land opened. Of course, we had our passes, so we went right in. And we went on that Heimlich train, that stupid caterpillar train. And, like, it goes around and in, like, a cereal box or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we got on, and it was 30-minute wait or so to get on. And it goes in the cereal box, and it goes right out. And I asked the operator, I said, there isn't like a dark ride in there when the thing goes in? And he's like, no, it just goes in a circle, dude. He eats the stuff and it smells.
Yeah.
I said, are you kidding me?
They put all the special smells in it to be exciting.
But it was the equivalent of a shopping mall train. It went around in a circle.
And it never walked. All the bugs.
None of the Bugs Life stuff ever worked. It was
No.
always down.
What was that flick thing that was always shut
The
down?
Ladybug one.
The Ladybug, right?
Their ride was never.
I think you rode it one time.
Yeah,
Before
I think
we
I rode
never.
it once.
Oh, it was eternally closed. And I remember the. I'm saying remember them because most of this crap's still here,
Yeah.
right? The tuck and roll bumper cars.
Those are still up.
And
Yeah.
but it's a massive bumper car arena, and the cars are dialed down so slow that you almost can't make a complete revolution during your ride time. What fun is that? They barely bump. It should be called nudging cars. Stupid. So anyways, down on the farm, Bountiful Farms, and then moving through the park. I'm doing it in my head because we went so many times. They had like a store where you could buy apples and stuff next to the farm.
Yeah. That's been replaced with the plush animals now.
Yeah. But for a while it was like, oh, it's fresh fruit. It's a theme park, guys. You think I want an orange? I want a deep fried corn dog. I want crap food. This idea that people go to theme parks and they want like, oh, I would like a fresh fruit platter, please. You know what? Stay home. Stay home. Because then right next to that was your favorite, the Mission Tortilla Factory.
Yeah. Along with the bread factory.
The Bodin Bread Factory.
Yeah.
Now, the bread factory's still there. Right? We
Yes.
just went through
Yeah.
it.
Oh, the TVs were disintegrating at the corner.
Nothing worked anymore.
Yeah. No, Willie, if you go to the bread factory, is it still open?
Yeah, it's
I
still
think
open.
so, yeah.
The TVs are disintegrating. They're poly green at the bottom, and you can see them disintegrating.
You're talking about the color just
Yeah.
slowly fading away.
Yeah, it looks like half of the TV's
Disney-
bitten off.
Disney could replace some couple $100 TVs every now and then, but they haven't been changed in 12 years.
You know, a company that makes millions of dollars a day doesn't bother to repair the attraction's TVs. The whole attraction, you're just staring at TVs, and the TVs are disintegrating.
Do you realistically think there's a way to make Rosie O'Donnell look better? Like, is she even relevant? Do kids even know who that is?
No.
No, nothing in the park is relevant. It's so dated. It only made sense for like 2 months in 2001. But even in 2001, like the Muppet attraction was outdated still.
Yeah.
That was the Muppet attraction.
It opened outdated.
Yeah,
It opened outdated.
Yeah.
but the samples they gave were good.
The samples they gave. And do you remember what we used to do? Are you going to chime in here?
I just wanted to mention the game show, which we just filmed in what's the name?
Yeah, that was a couple years later, though.
That was the best thing they ever offered.
Yeah.
That's my
She's
favorite.
talking about the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire that opened in the backlot area.
Yeah, by Muppets.
Millionaire was a lot of fun and interactive, and you could win pins or a shirt or the grand prize, a vacation. And we even knew Ken, who was the host. Like we were in like Flynn with that thing. That being said, never even got close to getting on that stupid show. Phone a Complete Stranger, remember that?
Yeah,
But as successful as that show was, and it closed a success, they wouldn't pay the royalties to the TV company. That's what happened, because even though ABC, which is owned by Disney, distributed the show on their channel, they didn't own the rights to it. So they had to pay a licensing fee. Well, they didn't want to pay anymore. They just closed it down. Now you can meet Olaf there. Isn't that great? But do you remember what we used to do every time we went to DCA in regards to the tortilla factory?
no,
We would tell them it was our
Our
birthday.
that's right.
You got a whole stack free.
We would tell the guy, oh my God, it is my birthday, because he would give you an entire bag for free. And then we didn't have to buy snacks. and we did it Oh my gosh, like twice a week, really, because we went a lot. Like at least twice a week, we would get, "Oh, it's your birthday or your birthday? It's my birthday." And sometimes, like, we'd even go get the button, so that we would just go tink, 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 and point tink, tink, tink to the button and go, "It's my birthday," and he would go, "Here's, you know." Although, remember, sometimes you'd go through and they'd be running the corn.
Yeah.
We'd go, "Oh. No, it's not our birthday. We're okay. When are you going to run flour? Because it's our birthday only when you're running flour." And what did the movie before go? What did it say? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Remember, what is the big line from it? The Mayan statue says? It says, "Thank you for the corn." And the funny thing about the tortilla one was, the woman at the door would welcome you and then make you watch that stupid movie.
Yeah,
and you're like, "I just want to go in and get a tortilla." "Yeah, we know you do, but you're getting a commercial first." Sucker.
I must have seen that movie 100 times.
Now, the bread one's funny because they hand you the bread right in.
Yeah.
"Welcome
Yeah.
here. Here's a
You're
bread."
trapped.
And then you're like, "Oh, now I'm obligated to sit through this thing and see how Colin Mockery calls it the most relaxed dough ever." And those poor people who work there who are just stared at all day because you'd rather look at them than Rosie O'Donnell. Oh, my God. That's so crazy. So the other thing, okay, moving through the park, you'd go into that food court area, and the food court was notable because it sold beer. Now, Disneyland still doesn't sell beer in the park, but DCA has always sold beer. That's part of their thing. Because we also passed the Robert Mondavi winery that opened with the park that nobody went to. Like, they got this 5-star double platinum guy to open a restaurant in a theme park where there was nobody there.
They also had a Wolfgang Puck restaurant.
Wolfgang Puck, right on the pier there. It's like, "I'm Wolfgang Puck, and I would like to welcome you to my new restaurant." And you're like, hey, guess what, Wolfgang? What is it? Nobody ate there today. Oh, like it was small, like nobody ate there? No, nobody ate there. We sold 0 dinners. Are you crazy?
That was closed in like a month, right?
Oh yeah, the Mondavi Winery and the Wolfgang Puck restaurant closed immediately when they saw how quick nobody was going. It became just a generic restaurant, Golden Vine or something, and Wolfgang Puck's became what do they always do? Throw characters at it. Oh, here's where Little Mermaid eats. Do you think they serve seafood in the Little Mermaid themed restaurant? Do 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 do. I'm eating the people in the movie. Like, that's so wrong. That's so wrong. So, anyways, we'll continue through the park. Once past there, you would head up on the pier, which was really nicely themed, even if it had nothing. I can remember your mom and I desperately going through all these shops and being shocked that they have nothing for sale. It's all generic, like sportswear and California shirt, stuff that you can get at Target. We're looking for Disney merchandise, and the first year there was nothing like that. Excuse me. At the back of the park was the big signature attraction, California Screamin', the roller coaster, which is great if you're one of those kinds of like families, but we're not a coaster family. So I've never even been on it. Have you been on it, Rachel?
Nope.
No, we've never been. Have you been on it, Luke?
No.
No, like, who cares? And then right next to it,
It does have a great thing about it, though.
what is great about it?
The best
Go
thing
ahead.
on that roller coaster today is, Luke,
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. We stand there just to listen to his voice before they take off.
There you go. There you go. And then right next to the roller coaster is, it's going to be hard for me to say this, where I spent most of the day at California Adventure, next to that stupid carousel.
Carousel.
You guys would ride it because it was literally, quite literally, the only kids-themed ride in the park. The King Triton Carousel with those stupid water fan fountains. I mean, I can tell you every detail of it because I would sit there for 30 to 40 minutes while you guys rode this thing because the line was long because it was the only kid-themed attraction in the park. It was next to the bathrooms, and the line was long because of kids. So we were there forever for you to ride this thing. And the whole time we're standing there, all I would say was, A, we got a carousel at Knott's with no line. And B, you can ride this at a shopping mall. It just goes in a circle. And you guys are making me ride it.
But it was like the only ride there. That's it.
It was the only ride there.
Kids wouldn't ride a 50-foot tall Ferris wheel or a roller coaster. There were no dark rides at all other than Superstar Limo.
Which was really dark because they just shut the lights off and said, look, it's closed.
Yeah, it was only open for like, what, a year?
Yeah, I think it was about a year. It wasn't there very long.
I remember it being most of my childhood a big blank construction lot. Like they never did anything with it ever.
Yeah, it was closed for years before it became Monsters Inc. But moving through the park, right next door to that was one of your favorite trivia places, Austin.
Malibuitos?
Maliburitos.
Whoever thought of that name deserves a raise at Disney.
Now, did you ever have a Maliburrito?
No.
No.
I don't even like burritos, but it's the best name I've ever heard of.
It is a great name. They had a really good time coming up with names for all this crap, and Maliburitos is right at the top. Right at the top.
Right next to the Malibu Mall.
So Maliburitos, and then there was a string of what was supposed to be like boardwalk themed beach shops, but was really all just one shop with like arches in between, right? And like, remember the what?
There's carnival games.
Yeah, there were carnival games too, really cheesy carnival games that the prizes were knockoff products, and eventually they were knockoff Finding Nemo fish. It's like
knockoff their own thing.
they were buying bootlegs of their own product to give out at the dumbest
They didn't give
themed.
out any Disney themed stuff at that
No.
box like
And
2 years ago.
Yeah, and they weren't even Disney themed games until just a short time ago. I can't remember some of the games names.
Fishing games.
Yeah, it was a fishing game, but they had like stupid pun California names too. I'll try to link them on the page because I know they were really stupid. But like, remember they had a tattoo parlor with nothing but rub-on tattoos in it. And I'm sure in a business meeting around a table, this was a brilliant idea that people will go, we're at the beach, we're feeling wild on vacation, and we can get a guilt-free tattoo. But you'd walk in and you go, why is this here? Why are they wasting valuable theme park space with rub-on tattoos?
It's Disney.
That's so stupid.
They could do so much
Disney,
better.
like the most high-tech amusement park on the planet, and they're selling rub-on tattoos.
And they've dedicated a whole shop to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is all Toy Story Mania now, right? This whole area.
The whole area became Toy Story Mania,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it looks amazing now.
Yeah. The
Because-
animatronic outside.
Yeah, well, look what happens when you spend money. There's no doubt that the people who were charged with building this park were told, if you bring it in under budget, whatever price you bring it in under budget, you will get a bonus of some percentage of that. This park should have cost 3 times what it cost when it opened, and it just didn't. Okay, so I wanted to get some of those game names. They were the Boardwalk Bowl, which is what do you call it? Skeet ball? Ski ball? No, what's it called?
Bowl.
What's that
You
called?
roll the ball in the little hole.
Ski ball? Yeah.
Ski ball.
And Dolphin Derby, which is the fishing. No,
Dolphin Derby is where you roll the ball and it moves the
that's
little
a race
racing
game.
moves.
Yeah. San Joaquin Volley, which is throwing fruit in a basket. Shore shot basketball. Angels in the Outfield, which looks like some launching game. And Cowanga Pass, which is getting a softball in a milk can. And then the one we spent all the time at, which was the Newhall Fishery, where it was one of those stupid magnetic fishing games where every kid's a winner. So basically, you as a parent are just looking at what you're buying, and you're like, I'm paying $5 for a keychain-sized plush fish. What a rip. Remember the photo op by the food place where you're in a fish basket? You're in a fish net? Like that. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. Okay, so we're going to move down the line here and talk about Maliboomer. That's the ride, right?
Yeah.
Maliboomer looks like one of those strongman games where you ding the bell and ding, but you're the dinger, right? And it's themed with a big bell on top. It was supposed to be their answer to Supreme Scream, only it was half as tall. And right after it opened, they got complaints because people would go up in the air and scream, and the neighbors didn't like the screaming. So they installed a big plastic bubble around your face so that if you screamed, it would just echo back to you. And more importantly, if you vomited, it would funnel it back on you. That really happened. Like, I wish I was making that up.
I actually remember that. They would put like big space-looking helmets on people. This was a real thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe they did this.
They did.
And this wide was like a smoking area for like a few years too.
Yeah.
It still is, isn't it? Yeah.
Did they put anything new? They've
No.
always been trying new things to put
They were
there.
supposed to put a Toy Story Omni-Man
Yeah.
wide, but now it's just a smoking area.
It's like
And-
benches, right?
Yeah,
It's-
it's planter,
it's-
benches.
And those 3 plants right where the 3 Supreme Scream Towers were, because they couldn't
Yeah.
really, because there was a big hole left in the ground.
The whole queue and stage area is all still there. You can go right up the queue and see it. They filled in where the columns were with planters.
Yeah, they didn't just level it back to the ground
Okay.
again.
Maliboomer, and then the big sun wheel, which
That
now
thing
has
is-
Mickey's face
That
on
thing
it.
is terrifying. Thank
Big
God they
sun,
took it
man.
off. Why would you put that ugly face in a kid's park?
That
Why?
big sun face.
Yeah.
So ugly.
They were hoping that along with the mountain range we're going to talk about in a second, would be like the icon of the park. Like, you'd want that on a shirt.
Yeah.
That's
Gotta
the
get
thing.
The shirt and the mug and the keychain,
Yeah.
the postcard.
You don't, but you're the demographic. You don't have fond memories and want to hang that on your wall, Austin and Luke.
Ironically now,
No.
because it's so ugly, I can't believe Disney really tried to brand this. Like, really?
Well, you can see what happened. They took it out.
What is that big sun face now?
Oh, it probably got chopped up into the little. You know when you shake a spray paint can? There's that little piece that rattles around. That's probably a piece of the Sunwheel, right? The Sunwheel face right in there. So we never rode that either. Did you ever ride that with anybody, Rachel?
No.
No, we've never gone on it.
It's like a sliding Ferris wheel. That thing is so scary.
Well, some are stationary and some slide, but we never ever went on it, ever. And then right past that for a short time, there was a Stitch meet and greet. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
I remember
Where
that.
Stitch would stand there with a lei on,
That
and
little Hawaiian setup there.
you love Stitch. Now that's not when they opened. This is a couple years later.
Yeah.
And they stuck in like a Stitch pop-up shop too, right next to it.
Yeah, well, you got to buy some crap,
Yeah.
right? And Stitch's face is on everything. You had a Stitch hat, Stitch gloves. Oh yeah,
Hello.
you were stitched out, man. Do you remember going to Interventions and talking to Stitch on the phone?
Yeah, I remember that.
That was the,
interactive thing.
That was the working prototype of Turtle
Turtle
Talk.
Talk.
Yeah, before Turtle Talk, it was Stitch,
Yeah.
and it was only there for a short time. But we actually talked.
I
well,
liked it because you got a picture after.
yeah, and they were like, hold on, Stitch is on the line. He's like, hello, it's Stitch from Hawaii, or whatever he says. I don't know. But it was like talking to animated in real time.
Yeah.
Cell drawn. It wasn't computer
Yeah.
looking animation
They
either.
pre-celled every possible action.
Yeah.
So then synced it up with the speech.
That was pretty cool. Now, then right next to that was a boat. The McDonald's boat.
McDonald's boat.
It was a
a
boat that you
water
played
ride.
on, right?
It was water-based. with
Water-based.
Hoses and stuff.
Oh, that's right. Remember there was a fireman, and then you could put your face in his face and then shoot a water hose? Oh, my God. That is so stupid. Because at a theme park, you really want to be reminded of fire and people losing their homes. Was that restaurant? What was that restaurant originally? Because is it anything now? Is it still the pizza place?
No, it's not. The Pizza O Mau Mau.
Pizza. What was it called?
Pizza Mau Mau.
There was Pizza O Mau Mau, a McDonald's that we need to talk about in a second,
Yeah.
and then the McDonald's sponsored boat that was boarding. Now, the Pizza O Mau Mau's gone now. Now it's fancy burgers at the boardwalk. It's some themed
just-
Disney
Okay.
place.
Okay, you know what? That sounds familiar because we actually went into Pizza Mau Mau before it closed because we were like, look, this is going away. We should get a pizza here. We got a pizza there one time.
It was a good
Pizza.
pizza.
Yeah, well,
I think it's the same pizza they serve in Tomorrowland. Like, it tasted identical.
I'm sure it is. Sure it is.
It was like a surf stop inside. This hung surfboards everywhere.
Surfboards and water skis.
But I remember being shocked that it wasn't very big inside.
No.
Like
No,
you
it's
went in and
really
there was a
tiny.
counter and just a couple of tables, and it was like, no. You got to go outside to eat. There's no restaurant here.
Yeah.
But from the outside, it looked like a huge restaurant.
Yeah. It looked like the Tahitian terrace over at Disneyland. Like it was supposed to be impressive, but no, not so much. And right next door, not so much either. The Burger Invasion, which was really what?
A McDonald's
McDonald's.
that only served basic hamburgers. Maybe fries if you were lucky.
Yeah, sometimes
That's
they
it.
do some fries.
And it
usually
was-
just hamburgers.
Hamburgers and a kids meal. Remember they had a kids meal, Happy Meal.
I got one of those once. I
But
remember what it is.
What was it?
It was a clear plastic skateboard with an ad inside of it.
An ad for
Yeah.
what?
The burger place, the Eat More there.
The Burger Invasion place.
Yes.
Sometimes because it's McDonald's back then. Every week they'd have a new Disney license. There was always Disney, and when it wasn't Disney, they had an extra line of skateboards or keychains that were of the park. That's filler for when it was other licenses.
They didn't even give the Disney Happy Meals at the Disney McDonald's. It was-
Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't.
Okay.
I just remember being shocked at how expensive it was. Because it's like, this is a Happy Meal. We know what this costs. It's not like other theme park food where you're like, well, I'm not sure in the real world what that would cost. I know what a Happy Meal costs, and it don't cost $6.
This isn't a McDonald's. It's a Burger Invasion.
It's a
at the
burger.
boardwalk.
It's a Burger Invasion.
They said it was the meteor shower.
Oh my God, you're right. The meteor, MEATIER shower. Oh my
Meteor
God.
Yeah, they had all these cheap billboards placed around all the park
Make
for
it look like a boardwalk.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Just
'Cause-
advertise other places in the park.
Yeah, because we don't feel comfortable unless there's advertisements of something else we might rather be doing. And then, real quick along those lines, the Orange Stinger, the swing ride. Did you ever ride that?
Not the sweet.
No.
We like the other thing.
That next door was Jumpin' Jellyfish.
The Orange Swinger's gimmick is that it smelled like oranges, and you got in little
Yeah.
bee sting cars, made you look like bees. 1 week later, they took out the bee sting cars because they only were made to fit the weight of the people they tested on. It didn't fit anybody. And it was either too small or too big. It wasn't the right
They had
size.
big stingers in the back every swing, and people keep hitting each other.
Yeah, that was the other problem, too. Yeah.
Like you say that, and it sounds like a bad theme park concept, but this really existed.
Disney.
Yeah.
By Disney, it really existed. All of this crap was at one time.
That's not the best part.
Yeah.
This is- like imagine, like we'll digress for a second. Imagine you're the general manager of California Adventure, and you're there at the park. Now they're working round the clock to get it to open, and then like the day before it opens, like 6 a.m., you take that little electric cart through the park, and you're like, tomorrow it's gonna open, and there's gonna be millions of people here. And they're going to be telling me what a great job I'm doing and how great the park is. And then imagine, like, the shock of none of that happened. That the celebrities that showed up for the premiere were all B-level, and even they were not impressed with your stupid park. So, Jumpin' Jellyfish,
But
which
wait,
was
there's
just...
a part about the orange stinger we didn't
Oh,
cover.
go ahead.
There's an even better part. The ride smelled like oranges. That was its biggest gimmick. It was the orange stinger. You get to smell the oranges, just like you're at California. The orange smell was removed like 3 days after the park opened because it attracted wildebeest and a whole lot of them.
The smell attracted real bees.
People like start thinking these were part of the attraction. Like, oh, there's live bees on the ride. Those are not part of the attraction. There's not supposed to be live bees stinging everyone. You're not supposed to get stung on the orange stinger. So the ride, first off, people were weighing the bee seats down. The bee seats were clanking against each other, and they were getting tons of wildebeest inside the ride, trapped inside the big orange that was covering it.
But just look at it from the base value of what you're talking about. They built a swing ride. A swing ride that at a carnival is like 3 tickets. 3 tickets, pick a swing.
We always went on the little rocket thing.
Yeah, we're getting to the Zephyr, yeah. So next to that was Jumpin' Jellyfish, which you liked. And they had 2 ones, like a little kid version and a regular version,
yeah,
right?
next to each other.
And the music, boom, boom, boom. Remember the music? Boom, 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 boom.
That's still there, actually.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, great.
Because it has Finding Nemo on the side now.
Oh, yeah, now it's
Yeah.
Finding Nemo.
I thought it was
jumping.
Mermaid.
They didn't. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's Mermaid now.
Oh, it was Finding Nemo for a while. They did when Finding Nemo came out, they did a map where you got stickers everywhere.
You got to get stickers.
You go to the fountain and the Finding Nemo ride, which is just jump at jellyfish with new stickers on it.
Oh, that's so stupid.
There's some new signs up.
So stupid. And then we get to, other than the carousel, the place where we spent the most amount of time. And that was the little strip of tables between the Burger Invasion and your favorite ride of all time, which was what?
Mulholland Madness.
Mulholland Madness. A, no joke, carnival ride. A legitimate, it still is.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate, movable, transportable carnival ride.
It's
stuck.
Crazy Mouse with new stickers.
Crazy Mouse is all it was.
Yes.
But because it was your favorite ride and there was nobody in the park, your mom and I would sit at that table for an hour while you just went on the ride over and over and over again.
What?
What, you want to talk about it? How great it was?
Yeah, it was great. It was the only thrill ride that was all age friendly. Because everything else there was either huge like the roller coaster or was just a carousel.
Yeah, and it offered a bit of a thrill.
This was the only family-friendly thrill ride the entire park had to offer.
And like one of 2 family-friendly rides in the whole park.
Yeah.
There was like this, the carousel,
And that's
and
about it. There's
Superstar
the water ride
Limo,
that was in season.
which lasted like a week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But think about this, guys. Again, take it back to its base level. First off, it's a carnival ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And second, it's a carnival ride that they've decided to theme over Los Angeles traffic.
Yeah.
There's nothing fun here. There's no fun in that.
The cars were like police car, taxi, generic car,
Truck,
and
yeah.
there was in order to theme the ride, I remember there being 2D little signs they put up that made it look like there were other cars next to you and you were stuck in traffic.
Well, they also
Yeah.
made it look like some cars had flown off the track and broken the
There
billboards.
was a billboard of the shape of a car cut
Yeah,
out.
it's like, oh, how funny. That could be us. We could die too.
Yeah. I'm not sure if crash cars with families in them is a kids attraction.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, if you really think about it, it's a ride where you travel through LA traffic and watch families' cars get destroyed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And
But I just remember, like, the ride ops going, didn't at one point they even, like, do you want to get out, kid, or just want to go
It
again?
just kept going. There's no one there.
Imagine that at a Disneyland park where nobody cares enough to go on the ride that you can just stay on.
Yeah.
Like, there's not even one person in line. And that's Mulholland Madness, which for some reason is now Goofy's Flight School.
They were
Yeah.
just trying to retheme it to anything. It's
But-
one of like only 2 rides in the park that they kept.
But they're not planes.
they are now.
They're on a track.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you know the little plastic 2D billboards that have cars in them? Now they're
They
clouds.
switch out the cars to be clouds.
So now it looks like
you're
you're
in the air.
In the sky now.
Is it literally like a cloud with the shape of a plane cut out? Like they just took it?
I believe the part where it's a car crash to the freeway is now a barn with a plane crash to
barn.
it.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so
boy.
stupid.
It's hardly
It's the
rethemed.
Step blank. What do you call it? Formula of all those little goofy shorts where he's trying to learn.
Yeah.
signs.
Yeah. Watch as Goofy tries to learn how to fly. Next time you're there, take a look at the base of that ride, and you'll see that it's movable.
Yeah.
Knott's has a Crazy Mouse, but ours is legitimately set in the ground.
And it's
Yeah,
altered. It's
Disney
different.
you could probably find some Carnival out there with the exact same layout with new stickers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The Knott's one's altered. It's stuck in the ground. It's it's mostly
They
different.
designed it from scratch. It's not off the shelf.
Right.
Yeah, Disney just looked at a catalog and said, this one.
So right across from there was your other favorite ride, which was never freaking open. Because if the wind blows more than a mile an hour, the Silver Zephyr doesn't spin. But you and your mom went on this ride a lot. I never went on it. It's not my thing. But you guys rode it a lot. And that's the big silver chrome. Like, it's a beautiful ride. It's one of the few rides in the park that when you looked at it, you were like, okay, that's Disney quality. That's a beautiful ride. But unless you're going to put it indoors, what's the bloody point if it never operates? What the heck?
Is it still open?
Yeah,
I think
don't
so.
Think they haven't rethemed that one yet.
That's the
It's
only
there.
ride in the park that hasn't been rethemed. Like,
No.
that's it.
It's
Right,
completely
right.
left alone.
Yeah.
So then across from that is, are you ready? The Dinosaur Sunglass Hut.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, God bless that dinosaur.
You have fond memories, but we're talking about a store that was about 5 feet by 5 feet that sold sunglasses.
Yeah.
But it was so cool
it was
looking.
shaped like a dinosaur.
It was a dinosaur. It was pink, and then they painted it green, and it was so
Yeah,
exciting.
they keep changing the color.
And then they tore it out, and I got really upset.
Yeah, it's
Like,
like
it was-
it's a corn dog stand now.
Well, no, it was always there was a corn dog.
They were both there.
They were both there.
That's Corn
right.
Dog Castle.
Corn
It's still
Dog
there.
Castle, yeah, with
That
a
only
K.
that only exists because the fans said we wanted to.
Yeah,
say
we don't
it.
want that to go anywhere. But like, you've been to the Cabazon Dinosaurs that thing is based off.
Yeah.
And the Cabazon Dinosaurs is a low rent, cheesy theme park.
Yeah.
But the dinosaur, you walk up and into him.
Yeah.
And it's a shop.
Yeah.
The one at Disneyland or California Adventure is like, oh no, this is it. Where's the rest of it?
It's like half of a dinosaur with a sack sticking out of it, and you walk up and buy some sunglasses. Like, Disney, they could have made a whole dark ride inside this dinosaur, themed about the Cabazon dinosaurs. It's Disney, but it's a sunglasses, like, sunglasses
We're in the
shop.
development process. We're like, okay, what should we sell at the dinosaur store? Sunglasses.
Put sunglasses on the dinosaur,
Yeah.
and we'll sell sunglasses in the dinosaur. That's what we're gonna do.
Like, not even a dinosaur.
And then
Dark
all the way
ride,
to- it
not a
was in the
sop.
park, and it was there for like 10 years of just selling sunglasses.
Yeah, like $50 sunglasses. Okay, so next to them was a souvenir stand, one of the
Yeah.
only legitimate.
Disney
you know,
stand. You
low-
could buy the Mickey ears and the autograph books
That
and
was
Right,
stuff.
the
with the
only
little,
one.
it had the little forced perspective lighthouse thing on top of
Yeah.
it, right? Okay, so and then next to that,
Ooh.
Golden Dreams. Golden Dreams, starring Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg takes you on a magical journey through the history of California, where she's the goddess Calafia, who's there to give history a little nudge. Kind of like, what was that? There was a time show, time traveler show, where they would give history a little nudge with their time machine. But we saw this show.
I never saw this, though.
Yeah.
All I remember is waiting outside while you went in. I never knew what the attraction was till it was torn out.
The attraction was a terrifying moment of watching the statues of Whoopi Goldberg come to life in the, next to the screen. And then I think a nearly 30-minute movie on the history of California in the most boring way possible, starring a cast of unknowns and Whoopi friggin' Goldberg. Go ahead.
Wasn't the movie altered like multiple times?
Yeah, it had to be altered because on opening day it featured not only a Chinese man and his grandson blowing themselves up with dynamite, but it also featured at the end notable people of California, including Walter Knott. Well, that got taken out of me. You can't show Walter Knott. People might think of a better theme park.
Was that real? Did they really sew knots?
That's what I'm told, yes.
Wow.
And they had to remove it because they couldn't promote a better park.
Right, and then the Chinese guy blowing himself up, instead of the explosion, it just faded to white. Fading to white means, well, they just went to heaven. Look, they blew themselves up, but they went to heaven after they did
But they
that.
still showed a family die in a Disney attraction.
Yeah, and they also showed a guy buying a mail-order bride. Like, he goes down to the office and picks her up, like, here she is, and the whole thing is her struggle to please this man who bought her. What?
So long for a Disney attraction. Like, why? Who would they do
Once
this?
again, we're in development of this park. Did they say, okay, this is okay. Put this right next to the dinosaur sunglasses.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they got so excited about Whoopi Goldberg doing one of their attractions because she's got an Oscar that nobody stopped to think, like, should we be doing this? Is this appropriate?
Should we be sewing families dying and wives being bought? Like, who thought of this?
But again, though, when you're adding up all the things that there are to do in the park, this became important because there's not a lot left to do but sit for this stupid movie.
But no one on Disney didn't let this get off the drawing board. Like, they said it was fine. It went through every
Dude,
person.
this show lasted 10 plus years until it became The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Were you the only one in the theater most of the time?
I was the only one in the theater sitting there like, what am I doing here? But how many times have I seen the Steve Martin 50th anniversary movie?
But that's great.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, that's great.
I like watching that stuff. I appreciate the work that goes into it, even if the content's not up to
But
par.
the Steve Martin movie's good. It's really good. And it's all about Disney. It's actually really good. The Whoopi Goldberg one has nothing to do with Disney.
Okay, so you go past Whoopi, and ahead of you is the winery restaurant. To the right of you is the water bay and the pier area. But if you take a left, you go down a street of pseudo San Francisco buildings that are, guess what they are? Nothing. They're just facades. They're
There's nothing.
changing rooms and offices.
Yeah, there's nothing to do in them.
Like Toontown-esque doorbells to ring, I think.
Yeah, and then nothing else to
and
do.
then nothing.
So stupid.
They put a kiosk of merchandise like in front of the buildings.
Yeah, no, sometimes they put like an ice cream cart. You're
They're
right.
Like, we need to sell something here, but we didn't build these buildings to sell things.
Get the cart in. Get the cart in with the frozen bananas.
Now that you've looked and seen those buildings, you don't need to go to San Francisco as a tourist. You've
Oh,
already
yeah,
been
no,
there.
I felt like I've been there. Like
There's
I
a
was.
bathroom there. That's good.
I was right there. Yeah. So then you enter the Whitewater Expedition ride. The Whitewater Expedition
I
ride.
went on this ride. You guys,
seen this thing multiple times, and it's still never.
Well,
been...
they keep saying at some point they're going to add all these audio animatronic animals to it and make it like a real dark ride. And instead, it's just Bigfoot Rapids with a drop.
yeah, that's it.
That's all.
That's all it is. Nothing special.
And okay, we went on this ride July 4th the first time we went, and I am not kidding. The line was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
We used do you remember that, Rachel? We used every spare inch of that queue because there was nothing to do in this park. It was hot, and everybody wanted to go on this ride. And the ride is fun, and it has some beautiful spots to it, but it's not a 2.5 hour wait by any stretch. Now, the last time we went on this, we tricked you into going, Austin.
Yeah.
We told you there was nothing bad about it, and then what happened?
The ride was full of drops.
And all you did was turn to me and go, "You are a liar! You lied!"
Now, as for the actual ride itself and the entire White Wilderness area, I think it's the most boring part of the entire Disneyland experience. It's just so boring and ugly. The rides have nothing special. The gift shops sell nothing special. Just Big Bear California tourist teas I can get at Walgreens.
Well, the thing about the gift shop is all the good stuff is just for display.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't
they
actually
have-
buy anything.
boats and life jackets and oars and all this stuff.
But you can't buy
You can't
it.
buy it.
No, it's all
just a
screwed
shop
down.
there.
When you finally ask what you want to buy, they hand you like a cup with
Yeah.
Big Bear
Mug
California
with your
on
name
it.
on it.
Yeah, and they're like, this is what we have for sale. Like,
But you're the generation that's supposed to appreciate the extreme sporting bear.
Extreme sporting.
He's got an orange vest and he's got a helmet and he's ready to go
the ugliest
extreme.
thing in the whole park.
It
No,
is.
it's an icon.
the whole park was themed around extreme sports for some reason. Like, they got the X Games there. They advertised that a lot.
Oh, remember the first year they
Yeah.
did the X Games
To try and
there.
get anyone
Yeah.
to join.
It was
They're like,
blank, then it was X Games, then it was Brother Bear. And is it still up?
it's
or did
up.
they switch it out
It's
finally?
still up from
What's
2009.
up?
That whole area and the wilderness.
Oh right, yeah. You're talking about
area.
that's
The playground.
right across
Yeah.
the way, the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, which opened with no characters, then featured Chip and Dale telling campfire stories.
Yeah.
And then
Then
Campfire.
featured Brother Bear,
Brother Bear.
and now features
Up.
Russell from Up's
Which-
Adventure Trail something.
They rethemed all the sign to be the little Boy Scout thing from the movie, and that's about it.
And again, this is one of those things where we would go down there into that Redwood Creek thing, and we'd be in there like an hour watching you go on slides and climb up netting and pretend to rock climb 4 inches off the ground. And I remember looking at your mom and going, "Why are we still here? You could do this at the park. We don't have to come to California Adventure to do this. Why?" And if you're doing that in a theme park, because you know what? I never do that at Tom Sawyer's Island. I never have that feeling like my time is being
Yeah.
wasted.
Yeah.
But at that Redwood Creek thing, I feel exactly as if my time is being wasted. Ridiculous.
I want to know when they were sitting around talking about, okay, we got the budget for this many big rides. We got the Ferris wheel, the roller coaster. What can we do? Let's do a water ride. Like, okay, and it's only be open like half the year. It's never open because it's always too cold.
It's too cold, right?
Yeah.
It's open a few months in the summer. That whole multi-million-dollar ride that was a big one at launch, and they could hardly even open it.
So that's hardly any rides in the park opening, and 2 of them, the Zephyr and the Water Ride, can only be open during, like, what, a
few
week?
months in the summer that's
Yeah.
not windy.
Right. Now, the area we're talking about right now is actually, for me, very memorable because I worked at the park. For 3 years, I was a fill-in for a variety of positions at both Disneyland and California Adventure. And one of the jobs I did was I was Jedediah Jones, the head guy in the minor 49er band, and we played right across from the entrance to the water ride. And I could just remember, like, we had a trailer behind the Golden Dreams movie house, and we'd have to walk like 6 or 7 long minutes to get to where we were supposed to work to do our sets. And I had to wear a fake mustache, and in the summertime it would just peel off from sweat, and it was very, very strange. But the funniest moment, because this podcast is not about my experience working there, but I will say the funniest moment ever was we were there during Gay Days, when the park is overrun with Pride Festival, right? And we were there, and the band plays bluegrass hits, and they also do Disney songs that have been bluegrassized, you know, like the album "Oh Mickey, Where Art Thou?" And we're standing there, and we look over, and in front of the Rapids ride, where that big bear is, there's like 100 guys that all look the same. They're all big, burly, hairy gay guys who are known as what? Bears. And that's their photo op.
With the bear.
They got a picture with the bear. So I looked at the band. The head guy, Dave, winked at me, and all of a sudden, the music kicked in, and while they're taking the picture, we're going, look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. And it was the funniest moment we've ever had there. Oh, my God.
How did they react?
Oh, it's the greatest thing ever.
Right?
The band's acknowledging a slang word in the gay community. It was a lot of fun. Okay, so look for a podcast on my working at Disney another time. So anyways, you go past that, and to the left, do you know what there is to the left? The secret hotel entrance.
Yeah.
For hotel guests only.
Leave through there.
Except anybody can use
Yeah.
it, right? And we used it a lot. And why did we use it?
Freshwater Cafe.
The Whitewater Cafe,
Whitewater.
Yes. Talk about the Whitewater Cafe.
Oh, it's the best food at California Adventure, which isn't saying much though, but still.
Hey,
but it's in the
for
hotel.
Disney.
It's not
Yeah.
even in the park.
Their gourmet chicken strips were so good.
Gourmet chicken strips.
Yeah.
Chicken nachos. We would order the chicken nachos. They were $6.79, and we would make them give it to us unassembled. So we'd get a plate of nachos, a thing of chicken, a thing of tomatoes, a thing of sour cream, a thing of jalapenos, a thing of cheese, and we would mix it all together to whatever we wanted. We must have eaten at Whitewater Snacks.
We literally have pictures of the kids in front of the bear statue.
You got to get on the mic, honey. Come on, get over here and get on the mic. I know, you got to mention, but you got to be on the mic or they can't hear you.
I can do an entire scrapbook of the bear statue in front of that, of the kids literally growing up. Like you can see them age, walking, Fear the Bears.
We took a picture with the bear statue every time we went. And we went to this place a lot. And you guys never saw me perform at DCA except from Whitewater Snacks.
Yeah, we'd watch them.
Because I usually only worked on days that were blacked out. And you'd have to go to the snack place and like look across the way to see the show.
Yeah.
How funny is that?
We always just look over and we'd see your tiny minor self all the way over there.
Yeah, I know. It's me, Jedediah Jones, and the minor 49ers.
I could never tell which one was you.
Yeah, well, I'm the one that's loud.
How long ago was this? It was like, what, 7 years ago? Longer?
I haven't worked a shift at California Adventure since 2009.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
Okay, so you continue down the path. Oh,
Just find a way to get around.
okay. So you continue down the path. We're almost done with our trip to the park. And you get to the last section of the park, if you went the direction we went, which is Condor Flats, which again is beautifully themed with brown buildings. What the hell were they thinking?
It's so boring.
So boring. But it does have the best ride in the park, soaring over California.
Oh, this ride terrifies me every time. Then I get on it and think it's the most beautiful thing ever.
You have to be talked into it every time.
Yeah.
But then I get on it and don't regret it because it's the most beautiful ride of the park.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ride. And the reason it's so good is this is one time the Imagineers were let loose again to make an attraction not based on a film property. Just make a good ride. And we've seen the making of it where the guy went home with the erector set and dialed up this thing that allows all the different levels to get up into the show screen with the smells of the ocean and the oranges.
Yeah.
A really pleasant, immersive, different experience. And literally the most memorable thing of the park.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, like that's what you remember most is that ride. Even if it does have Patrick friggin' Warburton doing the safety spiel. What do we got here? Loose articles, seatbelts. All right. Have a safe flight. Good job, pal. Like, oh please, come on, man.
What about the planes characters?
They added in the planes.
Yeah,
for
well
the
that's a
movie.
recent addition, right?
They're only in the startup video. They're not in the ride yet.
Can you imagine if you were riding it and a plane from that movie rode by? You'd go, look, get me off.
Yeah.
We're done.
Look, it's one of the only rides that hasn't been we-themed, and Disney's just trying everything to we-theme their rides to make it somewhat Disney.
Wasn't it recently upgraded to HD?
Was
Or is
it?
that
Last I
coming?
heard it was
No,
still filmed.
still coming.
You can still see
They're
the
gonna
little
film the whole
cigarette
world
burn
now.
in the corner.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
They're gonna make it the whole world eventually.
Because it uses the same technology that Back to the Future used with the half circular curved screen, right? So that you can get in it and it sort of envelops the left and right side.
Yeah.
But it's a great ride.
Yeah.
It's a great building. It's well done show building. Nothing but positive stuff. The only negative thing we can say is when your TV at home is clearer than the picture on that screen, it's time to upgrade.
But they don't want to just do a direct upgrade. They want to take the time to refilm everything and just haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah.
They don't want to make it California
Isn't there a
anymore.
rumor that that's Michael Eisner playing golf?
Yeah, I think that.
If that's true, get him out. Get him out. Okay, so then next door is the Taste Pilot Grill.
I've never been in
We've
there.
never even set foot in that building. And then we're back to the train station bakery and ice cream parlor. And my most memorable moments there, aside from waiting for you guys on rides, is going into that ice cream parlor and buying a sundae cup that comes in a coffee mug. Because when they finally started adding things to the park, they added the Tower of Terror, they added Bugs Land. We're going to talk to my daughter who got to ride Monsters, Inc. literally right after it opened, I think. And they had a coffee mug for the Tower of Terror with, of course, Mickey and Minnie and Goofy on the ride because you got to have characters now. And for like $8, I got the waffle cone, the 3 or 4 scoops of ice cream, the hot fudge, the whipped cream, blah, 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 blah. And when it was done, your mom got a coffee mug. So I think she must have had like 10 of those because that's what I would get. And then you'd listen to songs that had California in the title. Remember that?
Yeah.
No. California Dreamin', Hollywood Nights. Like every kind of California themed song would play in that esplanade there.
I never had the ice cream or any of that.
He was
No.
too young.
Do you remember the Mr. Potato Head stuff a box thing?
Yeah.
Yes, I made so many of those.
What was it called? Engineers Toys?
Yeah.
Engine ears with Mickey's ears.
And then when they came out with the Star Wars ones, you had to run back and buy them all.
Yeah.
Remember
Because
that?
I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't grow up yet. Still haven't. But there's our journey through California Adventure. Before we get to the overlays and talk to Josie, who's the next generation of people who I'm putting it in air quotes, enjoyed that park. What are your memories of California Adventure? Because you were there when it opened. You were there when they changed the letters to candy stripes. Because we've got a picture of you guys on every letter in our kitchen still. Like California Adventure was a big part of your childhood.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre.
I remember eating a lot of tortillas and sitting around not doing much because there wasn't much to do. I'm not a real thrill-eyed person. I prefer the Disney dark ride experience. The only crazy ride I'll ride at Disneyland is Soaring, if you convince me a lot, and Star Tours.
You're like Mr. T on the A-Team because he had to be drugged before they could get him on a plane, and he'd always wake up mad. That's you.
Star Tours is the only one because that's the most immersive ride at the entire park.
Okay, so let me ask you, what's better, Tortilla Factory or Ghirardelli?
Tortilla, because Ghirardelli they give you one.
More for tortilla.
Ghirardelli they give you one square of chocolate and do what I find is the most rude thing ever. I find this so rude. They lead you into the line to cast out to the cash register.
It's Disneyland. They invented exit through the gift shop, dude. That's what the place is
It's
about.
not just exit to the shop. This is exit to you're already in the queue.
Yeah,
right.
You go in the building.
You haven't even picked up something to purchase.
No.
When Disney said this ride was coming, they promised the Ghirardelli chocolate tour with free chocolate bar. I go in, get a sample that's like literally nothing, and get led into a queue to buy stuff.
Yeah, there's no
factory.
There's no how it's made part, right?
No.
There's a line that you
just
wait
a
in to buy
line.
stuff, and
Well,
that's
there's
it.
a line though because it's a free candy. But do you remember going to the Ethel M factory in Vegas and they
Yeah,
give
that
you,
was cool.
but you got
But
to
you
see
got the full factory.
right.
that
Well, what's
time.
better? Because at Ethel M you saw how the candy was made and they gave you a piece about as big as a dime.
Yeah.
At Ghirardelli, there's no factory tour, but it's a full
You get a
square.
full square, yeah.
What's better? Candy you can get anywhere. The factory
you gotta get
tours.
the
Yeah.
That's what makes it interesting.
I'll always remember that Ethel M trip, always. And I remember the cactus garden
Weird
outside
cactus
too.
garden, yeah.
But you know what I won't find memorable?
That was the continuing adventures of your mother demanding photo ops. It's not worth going on vacation unless we can get a photo op.
But I'm always going to remember that Ethel M factory, seeing the candy being made. I'm not going to remember waiting in the Ghirardelli line to buy chocolate that Disney has let us into so much.
Do you remember the California adventure, California Santa Claus?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember waiting in
Sandals,
line to meet
shorts.
and greet him. He was soft Santa. He had like a Christmas surfboard, a Hawaiian sort, trunks and sandals, and he was right in front of the ugly sun.
That was Disney trying to rebrand Santa Claus. Like he's a laid back
Surf Santa.
and they had-
California
He's a hip
Santa.
and edgy Santa.
and they had a snowman made out of sand.
I remember this like it was yesterday. How
you-
long ago was that?
Oh, that's like 10 years, dude.
Yeah.
Really?
2004,
Yeah.
2005.
And
It
there
was
was,
jo-
you know why you remember it?
Why?
Because unlike now, where you go see Santa Claus anywhere, it's get in, get out. Hey, the back of the line's back there, kid. This is the front of the line. There was no line for California Santa. he must have spent 10, 20 minutes with you asking what you wanted for Christmas. And you were like, well, what I want for Christmas is the real Santa. Not you, pal.
I remember the later years that they couldn't get even a small crowd with them, so they throw in Hawaiian Mickey and Beach Pluto. And
Weren't there surfer guys and girls for a
I
while?
think generic people too.
Yeah, like, hey, we're hang
There
tenning
were
with
surf-
Santa.
Surf people, Santa, and then a Mickey.
Oh
Like
my
anything
God.
to get someone to go up there.
Yeah, and we also never went into the soap opera Bistro, which was a high-end
Yeah.
restaurant where all the waiters were in a soap opera and they would act out stuff. Like your $35 steak comes with a guy going, "I can't believe you're cheating with the maid." Like, what a terrible idea. Terrible
We went to
idea.
Puppet show thing that was there though.
Well, no, that's when they
switching
took
it out.
when they took out soap opera Bistro,
They
it
put in
became the Disney
Playhouse.
Disney Playhouse.
Now it's
Was
Disney
it called
Junior.
Playhouse back then.
It was Disney Playhouse, and now it's Disney Junior. Like every 3 years, they retheme it.
Well, every year they just change out the shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw like Bear in the Big Blue
There's Bear in the
House.
Big Blue House.
Was it Roly Poly Oly or no?
I
Yeah.
think it was. Yeah.
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 Out of the box.
Out of the box.
They only did puppets.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah,
puppets.
it was no live action.
Yeah.
Just puppets. Now it's Jake and the Neverland.
Well, as a
Pirates.
parent, what I remember was that there were no freaking chairs.
Yeah.
And after about 10 minutes on the ground, I couldn't feel my legs, and I was like, I gotta go. I can't deal with this. You know, we rarely went into the animation building. It
there
seemed
wasn't
like,
anything there back then.
yeah, it just seemed like Much Ado About Nothing. Like, okay, like we saw the Toy Story kinetoscope there, and that's
Zooscope.
That's zoetrope. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But that wasn't added in until like a few years ago.
Oh yeah, it's gone now.
Really?
Is it gone now?
That whole building's frozen now.
Wow. Oh, God.
They had to move it for Frozen.
Any final thoughts on California Adventure, guys?
Boring and cheap. Come on.
Say that again?
Boring and cheap. There's nothing to do. You walk around. It's a terrible aesthetic. It looks ugly. What were they thinking? I'm so happy the park is unrecognizable to what it was back then.
Yeah.
As much a part of childhood as it was, I would never want to go back there, because what would I do than just sit around and look at ugly, cheap aesthetic?
You would enjoy a meteor shower and go on Mulholland Madness 30 times.
Oh, yeah.
What kid wouldn't want to do that?
Oh.
All right, Luke, any final California Adventure thoughts?
I need to say how much I hate the Little Mermaid ride. It just goes it's so cheap.
Well, there's actually a reason why you hate it. The reason you hate it is Tony Baxter called it right. The best dark rides either expand on the story or put you into the story.
Yeah, not just watch
Little
it.
Mermaid he calls book report ride.
Yeah.
It's just scenes from the movie. There's nothing that compels you or is compelling about the ride.
It's really cheap, too.
Once you get past the digital water going up, everything else is crap.
Well,
there's the water and then the initial animatronic. And then you go into the big room, the big song and dance room, and you can look up and see all the lighting.
The warehouse.
The actual lighting itself is so bad. You can see all the rods and all the fish.
Remember when the Little Mermaid Blu-ray came out and they showed the ride that had never gotten made that Tony Baxter had worked on?
It was
double tier.
Right.
2 levels.
You were above and then under the water and then back up. Well, that's what we got excited about.
Yeah.
And instead we got like a carnival ride again. Like it's like they didn't learn anything.
There's no finale to the ride.
No, it just
It's
ends.
a big song and dance, and then the swamp scene, and then there's a mural of the final battle.
You look at.
Yeah.
And
that's
it's
it.
a mural of their wedding, and if you look really tiny at the bottom, Ursula's there shaking her fist.
Yeah, well, all I can think of is right as you exit, King Triton's nipples are staring at you. I don't want to see King Triton. He makes me feel inadequate.
It's like they planned on this big ride, and all they got done was that big singing Ursula animatronic and a few of the fists, and then they just cheaped out on everything else.
Yeah, pretty much. Doesn't that just go without saying? But see, the park is on an up. They've added the amazing Cars Land.
Cars Land's really
that
good.
Ride
that
is amazing.
Dark ride's the best thing I've seen at Disney.
The dark ride's
effects there are
amazing. And what Cars Land says is, as amazed as I am by it, imagine if I actually liked the film property.
Yeah.
Imagine if I actually liked the film property. I'm not a fan of Cars, but I get how if you were a little kid, that's like you're in the movie. Mm-hmm. It's like they really did build Radiator Springs.
And they didn't cheap out. You can go in every building, and they sell stuff from the movie.
Yeah.
It's so
cheap
exact.
Gifts. It's the actual things from the movie. You go on every building. And
all we have to say about Cars Land is Disney, we're watching because you have Star Wars.
Yeah.
And you better build something equivalent.
Mos Eisley? What if they built Mos Eisley with a full cantina?
They better.
They'll do some sort of mash together of everything.
Yeah. Well, walk around Bosk. Let's say it now. Walk around Bosk. All right, we're gonna bring Josie in here. Get in here, Josie. How old are you, darling?
9.
9. So you were born in 2005.
Correct.
The park opened in 2001. So it was 4 years old when you were born. So your first memory would be like 2007, 2008, right?
Yes.
I remember you were a big fan of Monsters, Inc.
Uh-huh.
And we took you on the Monsters, Inc. ride,
Yes.
which they overlaid Hollywood superstar Limo with
literally overlaid. Like one of the security guards is Jackie Chan karate kicking with like a new cardboard cutout placed on top of him directly.
Yeah.
New costume on.
New costume.
There are some clever touches in the ride, like the use of mirrors to make the doors look multiple and many.
Yeah.
It's all very clever, but for those of us who've been going from the beginning, you can tell that it's Superstar Limo. You like the ride, though, right? It's cute?
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
The ride is... When I was little and I went on it the first time, it was crazy because I'd be like, it's real! Now I realize they're just robots. They're just robots.
They aren't even robots. They're like moving. You'll see, they're moving cardboard cutout standees of outdated celebrities with new skins.
Seriously?
No.
See, I never even knew about Superstar Limo.
That's
until
Austin
now.
Tucker, destroyer of dreams.
Pepper's ghost on the Randall that disappears is kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. When she's hitting him.
When the
Yeah.
door, when the ice door works, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, we've ridden it enough to know that I think I've seen the ice door twice.
Yeah.
It never works. So what about the you like Midway Mania? That's the shooting ride?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's your childhood is going and seeing Midway Mania. See, I don't like Midway Mania because I think it's so fast paced and you walk out with your arms sore and you don't remember seeing anything in the ride except, oh, I got a high score. Oh, but you like it, right?
Yeah.
That's all that counts. Any other parts of California Adventure that you like or don't like? Like you've been quite a bit too. I mean, we don't go that often anymore, but we've been a couple of times. Like you've been to Cars Land. You like that Cars ride?
Yeah. It feels so real.
Now let me ask you a question. In the world of cars,
Yes.
they are the living creatures. There are no humans.
Yes.
It's just cars.
Yes.
And they live on a planet inhabited by cars
Uh-huh.
and filled with car pun themed attractions, correct?
Yes. Correct.
So when you go to the park and you see like things that are made out of engine parts
Yeah.
and tires
Uh-huh.
and they're all like they have wreaths made out of radiator pieces and hoses.
Mhm.
Doesn't that go to say that those are pieces of the dead cars? And instead of burying them, they've just put them on the wall? That seems a little morbid, doesn't it?
I don't think Disney realized that.
I don't think John Lasseter realized it either. But that's all I look at when I go through there is like, in a world populated by cars, if you put car stuff everywhere, that's just their dead friends.
Maybe it's the parts of not yet assembled cars.
But they're rusted, man. That doesn't hold
They've been
water.
around a while.
No
The
way.
parts have been around.
No way. The Cozy Cone Motel and the ride is really great, and I do love the effects of watching the tires change. And the first time we rode it, we didn't tell Austin about the chase at the end.
hill.
What happened in that ride, Josie?
It was a little tiny hill bump thing, and he screamed like he was going to.
It was not a little
Die.
tiny bump hill. That is terrifying, and I will never ride that ride
I
again.
remember he grabbed onto Luke.
It's a beautiful ride. You have a little leisurely stroll up the boulevard, and then you go into the show building where it's night, and you see the characters from the movie. And then there's that moment where you pull into Radiator Springs. It's lit up in neon. All the characters are there. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you go into one of the two different customizing buildings to see Doc Hudson.
I remember the 2 times I went, I was in the same one both times. I've never, ever been where they change your color. Just
Never,
tires.
just tires, right?
Just tires.
And then you go outside, and what happens, Austin?
They say get ready for the race, and your car literally moves as fast as the Epcot ride. We were in the race cars.
It's faster, I think.
It's faster. It's actually faster.
Is it faster than
Yeah,
Test Track?
It's faster than Test Track. And it's just insane. Like, oh my God, why?
Now, you looked terrified. You loved it, right,
Can they-
Josie?
I was like, yay!
It was a lot of fun. And we've been on that a couple of times. Now, when we went on it last year, we ran into, you know who we ran into in the park? Tony Baxter.
Who?
Head Imagineer Tony Baxter.
Who's that?
He's the guy who created a lot of these rides. And he gave us a pass. Him and Josh Shipley, who are friends of ours, gave us a gold pass to ride on it. It was signed by Tony Baxter. And I looked at you guys and I said, couldn't we just wait in line so Daddy could keep this gold ticket with Tony's signature on it? But we used it and we got on the ride in like 10 seconds and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You like California Adventure. But
Yeah.
you've grown up in a time where there's actually a lot to do there.
Mm-hmm.
You never sat through It's Tough to Be a Bug and watched both your brothers burst into tears when the Black Widow dropped from the ceiling on their heads, and we had to leave at that moment. We had to leave. I looked at your mom and I said, I can't believe this ride has a Black Widow that drops on your head. We had to go. We've never been back. We've never been back to that silly attraction.
What? Is it hanging by a string?
Yeah. But it's big. It's like 2 or 2.5 feet big.
Does it look real or does it
Yeah,
look cartoony?
no, it looks real.
Oh, I would start screaming too.
You don't like spiders that big? They also have bugs that sting you by the chair pokes you in the back.
Who would go to a ride like that where you just get hurt? That's stupid.
So
Austin,
we have to
You
go.
grew up hard. You grew up hard.
Yeah. So we'll go next time, you and me. Now you'll never even go near it, right? You won't be in there. They have a stink bug that makes the room stink.
Who designed this?
I don't know. Some masochist. I have no idea.
Wait, what does the room smell like?
Like puke or something. I don't know. Like poop.
What the heck?
That's what they want. It's immersive. Don't you want immersive?
What does that mean?
Now, we were there for an overlay. Do you remember the Tron overlay that was there for a short time?
The
You
what?
probably don't even remember that. And then it became Mad Tea Party. We never saw that. And now it's Frozen. The whole park, Hollywood area is now frozen.
I don't get why people love Frozen so much. I mean, it's just two sisters, and one has powers. I mean, like, haven't they made a movie like that before?
Well, you're supposed to like it because it's about girls who don't need boys to help them. That's the whole message.
Then why do people ship the Kristoff and Anna
I don't know.
if they don't need boys?
Now, you've seen Frozen.
Yes.
You mean you liked it, but you're not going to devote your life to it.
I don't get why Olaf's so big on girls and stuff. They just love Olaf.
The snowman guy.
The snowman
Yeah,
guy.
I have no idea. This whole thing eludes me. I have no idea why it's popular.
Wasn't that like a year ago?
Yeah, it's more popular now than it was a year ago.
I'm not sure if it's popular. I think Disney's just like milking it with merchandise.
They're shoving it down our throats.
Yeah,
There's
no
no
one's,
doubt.
No one's actually buying this stuff or cares really.
But they've been waiting forever for this kind of zeitgeist, for something to hit like this.
Yeah.
So the machine has been ready to go. They had it ready for Tangled. They had it ready for Princess and the Frog, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
When it finally happened, somebody flipped a big Frozen switch.
And they got everything frozen out. Because of it, I've actually seen no merchandise for Big Hero 6 or Guardians of the Galaxy.
Frozen's already in Storybook Land Canal.
Yeah.
Like, it took Aladdin years. They were like, no, we're going to put it right in. But, Josie, you don't get it.
No.
Well, what are you into?
I'm into, like, what type of things are you into?
Like, what's the equivalent? Like, a lot of little girls are into Frozen. What are you into?
I'm into video games and sports.
Okay, so you're like a tomboy.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. What game do you play?
I play Little Big Planet 2.
Which actually just got a Frozen DLC pack.
Oh, well, see, now you can have Olaf in Little Big Planet.
Trust me, they're creepy looking.
I don't like Olaf. Olaf's kind of creepy looking.
You have to
He's
understand,
not a likable character.
there are Disney executives right now passing out because they can't get through to you on their Frozen stuff.
I don't get Frozen.
I saw a Frozen ice machine to make slushies where the ice comes out of Olaf's stomach. Like, it's his flesh that you're eating.
That is just disturbing.
It's disturbing, right?
So the movie's been out for hardly a year, and they already have ice machines. Like, they've sold out more than Phantom
Oh, no.
Menace.
Here's the thing. With Frozen, there are no actors involved.
So they can just crank
They
out
can
as much as they
license
can.
virtually anything. And they have.
Yeah. They have pop vinyl. They have
Olaf, Anna and Elsa are on everything from Band-Aids to soap.
They're on a
and
soap in the
gets
bathroom.
nobody gets a check but Disney.
Do the voice actors not?
Only if they're using their voices.
So like the talking dolls, which don't even use their
Well,
voices.
but only if it's their voice.
It's
If
not
it's
their
a-
The
voice.
talking dolls don't even use the real voices.
then they don't get paid.
Like, you get a Batman doll that sounds nothing like the guy from the movie. Like some cheesy guy.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. Anywho. So anything else about California Adventure before we wrap this episode up? Because you've been there for the transition, and now you've gone for the complete makeover. Like, you've seen the park look better than it ever has.
Yep.
You've been to the Aladdin show.
Yes.
Which you loved.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And we had front row seats. Thanks to our good friend David. Hi, David. Say hi, David. Let's say hi, David.
Hi.
Hi, hey David.
David just had something bad happen to him this week, so we want to say that our thoughts and prayers are with David because we know it's a tough time. But we do thank you because Dave got us right up close on Aladdin. So close that didn't like an elephant or something come right up to your face.
I think it was
Was it a camel?
The camel.
A camel.
He high-fived her.
The camel high-fived you. That's awesome.
And the snout was in my face.
Yeah, and he also got us good seats for World of Color.
Oh.
But
Yeah?
that wasn't nearly as good as the Aladdin set.
No, the Aladdin show was
Isn't it
superb.
odd that, like, Disney's will show involving actors is amazing, but the $100 million digital show they won't stop advertising is mediocre. It's not good.
And why was why was it awful? Can you remember why?
It doesn't have a coherent plot. There's no seating. It's not indoors. There's no actors. There's so many problems I can go off of. It's just a mess of movie scenes I could watch at home.
It's not worth what it does to the pier during the day. All the electronics and pipes in the water.
Right. And
Yeah.
wasn't there a lot of Frozen too?
Yes.
World of Color was sad to me.
Wasn't there a whole section like? Go ahead, Josie.
World of Color was sad because there was a whole section where it was playing really sad music and it just showed Simba and Bambi and...
They just showed every Disney character die. And the
Yeah.
show ended there. There was no happiness afterwards.
Yeah, it just went Mickey's face.
Like,
The
this is-
end.
Yeah, it did Mickey's face at the end after showing all the Disney parents die.
That's
Like,
right.
good Walt
Yeah.
Disney.
They're like, oh, there's Mufasa dying. There's
Bambi's
Bambi's mom dying. And then, well, thanks, folks. That's
Oh,
imagination.
they also did
Yeah.
Dumbo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dumbo. Yeah. Dumbo's mom in chains.
And then it went, thanks for coming, have a nice night.
Yeah, they did. I was expecting like some sort of Olaf to make the audience happy afterwards, but that's it. The show just ends
really,
there.
really sad
Cut out the
music.
Tron section.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tron and Pirates are cut out.
If
Little
you're
bit of
gonna
Frozen.
do it, bring back Tron. The only time your mom got involved in the show was when Johnny Depp was on for like a second. A giant, misty Johnny Depp.
There's way too much Fantasia in it. Way too much.
Yeah, well, there's way
Fantasia.
too much of anything we don't want in it. You know, if they're not gonna do Tron and the Black Cauldron and the Great Mouse Detective, what's the point, right?
It's not worth standing outside in the cold weather, not indoors. It doesn't even look impressive. I could
Getting
watch
wet.
I could watch these movies in clear quality at home. So
Well-
what? It's the water.
What the funny part is that the audience may not understand is you watch this show from VIP seating. You didn't have to wait in a line.
Yeah.
Still wasn't good.
There was no wait. There was nobody crowding you. You had 4 feet around you with nobody. And you're still upset about the show.
Yeah,
Everybody else is packed in like sardines.
I could have got VIP World of Color and then waited 3 hours for Aladdin and still liked Aladdin a lot more.
Yeah.
Even if it did have a bad line wait. Because Aladdin was fantastic. I loved it. I loved the actor's job. I loved it. It had a full story. It was indoors. There was seating. It actually told a tale. It wasn't just Disney movie clips I've already seen mismasked together.
Right, and I will say also that we saw Aladdin in the wake, pardon the word, of Robin Williams' death.
Yeah.
So we were all there really kind of tearing up because that's one of the parts he's most known for. He's the genie.
Yeah.
And when the genie comes out, you're like, you love him already because it's, I mean, I know it's an actor, but it's Robin Williams.
Yeah.
It's Robin Williams.
The genie steals the whole show.
Oh, well, that's of
Oh, he
course.
makes Facebook jokes.
Yeah. You ain't never had a friend like me.
That was great. They got all the genie backup dancers.
Yeah,
There was like
yeah.
10 genies on stage.
Wa-da-da, yeah, yeah, wa-da-da, yeah, yeah.
But, like,
Mr. Aladdin said.
Why can't every Disney show be like this? Why do you have to have the bug one where the Black Widows drop from the ceiling? Or the digital World of Color stuff?
Because
Like,
you have a little of this and a little of that, and they're not all the same. You happen to like Aladdin better. Some people like having Black Widows on their heads.
Wait,
I don't know who those people are. I can guess that it's people like Mary Imagination. Uh-oh, we name-checked Mary on the show. All right. This is a 2-hour show, you guys.
Wow.
Let's wrap it up. Anything you want to talk to about California Adventure before we wrap it up?
Well,
No.
I've
pretty much-
ranted about Frozen enough.
We didn't even talk about Disneyland. This wasn't even a Disneyland
No.
show. That's another episode.
But this 2 hours of DCA is all there is to talk about DCA. The park's so boring and uninteresting.
Do you guys know that before they started the makeover of California Adventure, that there were 2 plans on the boards?
What?
Either remake the park the way it is now,
Which they did.
or shut it down. Shut it down and make Tower of Terror, Soaring, and Screaming a hard ticket, like $5 attraction.
What?
Tear everything else out and put in retail shops and apartments.
What?
That
Wait.
was the main plan. They were going to make it into like a
What?
living little city of a couple of rides, but mostly Hot Topics and really apartment living. And you know what happened? John Lasseter looked and said, "This is a Disney park, and we're not giving up. And you're going to give me
Pixar Land.
You're going to give me over $1 billion. The park, which cost $750 million to open, cost over $1 billion.
$2.5 billion
to make over.
To reach this point where it's okay to go to now.
That's staggering.
Yeah. It's still not as good as Disneyland, but it is a beautiful park now. It's a lot better.
The worst part of the park we talked about is that stupid mountain in the middle.
Oh, that Bear Mountain.
Yeah, the Wolf Mountain. Well, that's the icon.
That is not an icon.
That's the castle.
No.
They've already talked about a phase 2 where they redo the entire wilderness and soaring and that entire area.
Take the whole mountain and wilderness area, just make it flat and just think of something new. It just doesn't work.
Your opinion is take the whole thing out. Start over fresh.
The ideas they've
the
had.
area between Soarin' and Little Mermaid just needs to be cut out of the park and
including
God, that's so drastic.
But the current plan right now is to redo Soaring, theme it more plains-like. We theme the wilderness to be something Disney they can't figure out, and most importantly, walk on Luigi's tires. That's like number one.
Well, do you know that there was an idea in the works before Cars Land to put in a Incredibles coaster?
Yeah.
And the Incredibles, and what it was going to be was they were going to use the first idea was the
Omnidroid.
The arm. You know, the arm that operates Harry Potter. Disney had first crack at that. And they let the license lapse. But it was going to be a ride where you got into a car that was not connected to anything, and it would move into the show building, and the Omnidroid would pick your car up, and swivel it around and jerk it around in the ride. Yeah. Oh my God, I would have died.
I always thought it was just going to be a big coaster with the Omnidroid in the center when he picks up the track.
No, it was supposed to be an immersive dark ride / thrill ride.
But Incredibles?
Yeah.
It was new at the time.
It was new at the time.
Yeah.
And when were they going to build this at? Where was it going to be at?
Probably where Cars Land is.
Yeah. That big empty
put
parking
it
lot.
where the mountain is, right, Luke? He doesn't like the mountain.
Do they still have the plane in the Soarin' area? They have a full-size plane.
Yeah, it's just parked there.
Or is that still is that now a planes plane?
It's a meet and greet planes,
the first thing they do is make that theme.
No, last I saw it was
eyes on the front.
Minnie was there like signing autographs next to it or something. I don't know.
Stick more characters.
Characters, yes. Make more money with characters.
That's all they know how to do because it's cheap. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up, folks. We have said more than anybody should ever say about California Adventure. We hope you enjoyed this virtual walkthrough. What you should do is download it, put it on your iPod or your phone, and walk through the park as we talk about it. And that means you have to go to the left, not to the right. If you go to the right, you're going to be screwed up. But go to the left. So I want to thank my co-hosts here. We have actually put Rachel to sleep. Rachel is snoring.
So you can't take DCA?
She is snoring over California. All right. Who are you, sir? Say thank you and goodbye.
Austin, bye.
I'm Luna, goodbye.
I'm Josie. Adios.
All right. I am Jeff Tucker. I am the voice of 91 Reasons. Don't go anywhere. We haven't done the big thing yet. We want to thank you for downloading. We'll have a Homestuck episode this week like we always do now, right?
Yeah.
And we want to thank you for listening. The best way to support the show is to go on iTunes and leave us a great review because somehow that puts us higher up in the download listing so that more people can find the show. I am the author of 3 books, The Sixth Key, The Lost Station, and The Infinite Backward, all available on Amazon.com in either a paperback version or as a Kindle download for 99 cents. If you're a member of Amazon Prime, the download is free. Unbelievable deal. We want to thank our Patreon sponsors who continue to give a couple of bucks here and there to help the show. Every penny helps with podcast hosting and hopefully one day getting enough equipment to do this show in its proper form. This is going to be episode 38, and I cannot believe we're that high. I know the Patreon episode is only 5 minutes, so technically it's 37 if you're going like that. But I'm okay with that because as a labor of love, each episode is vitally important to me. I'm so humbled and honored that people all around the world are listening. I'm so happy that you like the show. I'm happy that my co-hosts are here to help me every once in a while to offer some variety. I'm still going to come up with episodes and ways to have more guests on the show, because I know I have people like Rick West who wants to come on the show and talk about theme parks, which I am all about. I have a show I want to do with my guys I used to do improv with. We're talking about a Tommy Toom retrospective featuring some of the guys who were in the Tommy Toom show back in 2004. But those are all in the future. They will all be around at some point. Find us on Facebook. Check out our Patreon page. Just go to patreon.com and look up 91 Reasons. Again, thank you for listening, because this is the show that means so much to us, and we can't believe that it means so much to you, to everybody listening around the world. Happy New Year. Happy New Year 2015. This is the year that Marty McFly promised us. It's finally going to be here. I can dress exactly like I want from the movie and not be considered weird anymore. This is the time I have waited for. All right? So Happy New Year from your friends at 91 Reasons.
Thanks for listening to 91 Reasons. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Is anyone even still listening?